Today I'm talking about some adjustments you can make to your running during the hottest parts of the summer. 5.39 miles, 9 minutes, 10 seconds per mile, 138 beats per minute. Taking it nice and easy today. A little bit of a recovery day from the 10K time trial the day before this run that you just saw. And it's just really hot out, so I wanted to take it a little bit easy on myself in terms of effort and pace. And that's basically the main theme of what I wanted to talk about today, is ways that you can adjust and kind of be kind to yourself, be realistic now that we're in kind of the hottest part of the summer for at least the northern hemisphere. Now where I am here in Iowa, it's the northern Midwest, not necessarily the hottest part of the US, but it does get relatively humid and it does get relatively hot. And for me, someone who prefers running in below freezing temperatures, I mean like 35 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit is just about perfect running conditions, in my opinion. Running even earlier in the morning when it's still in the 70s but really high humidity is pretty intense for me. And in the middle of the day here in Iowa, in New Vienna, where we are for the summer, it's still hitting 90 degrees and really high humidity, so it does get really hot. So here are a couple of things that I would suggest. So the first thing I'll talk about is changing when you run. If you can, avoid the hottest parts of the day. I know it's not going to be feasible to a lot of you, but if you can, run before the sun is up or after the sun goes down, if that fits into your schedule. Now, I've run in the desert, not in the summer before, but when I was in Arizona, I've run in kind of the early spring, which still is really hot for me. And I found that when I would plan my runs, if I was running through the hills in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area, I would try to plan it so that the sun would rise right about at the peak when I reached the summit. So that way, like the hardest part of the run was already done by the time the sun was really up. And then when the sun was up and it started to get real hot, I'd be just on the downhill and kind of cruising back towards the car. So that's one of the things that I would recommend, is trying to plan it out so that way your runs are a little bit earlier, so you're saving yourself some of that beating that you might otherwise take from the sun, heat, and the humidity. The other thing that I will suggest is to take it a little bit easier on yourself. A lot of people say that humidity is a poor man's altitude. I don't know that that's necessarily true, but I will say that it does have an effect on your body's ability to breathe, your body's ability to function, especially if you're trying to get in quality workouts. One of the things that you might consider doing with your coach, if you have a coach, is dialing back some of those paces if you're doing interval work during the summer. So that way it's still giving you a reasonable workout, the workout that's intended by your coach, but something that's a little bit more realistic given the time of day that you might have to run. Let's say your schedule doesn't let you run early in the morning or late in the evening and you've got to run like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Make sure your coach knows that and gives you your times and paces accordingly. Or if you're self-coached, kind of like I am, and kind of fumbling your way through it and figuring it out yourself, be realistic and don't be hard on yourself if you're looking down at your watch and the paces aren't what you're used to seeing, because your body is still working hard, if not harder, with that heat and the humidity. One of the things that I really like doing is having a heart rate monitor that I train with, so that way I can understand my body's effort, even if that necessarily doesn't translate to the same paces throughout the different temperatures and climates that I might be running throughout the year. The next two things that I'll talk about are gels and hydration, which are probably the most important things to think about in summer running, because even if you're running really early or really late in the afternoon, and even if you're dialing it back in terms of your intensity to accommodate for the extra heat and humidity, you're still going to need to make sure you're staying hydrated. You don't want to get yourself into trouble. One of the things that I like running with is a flip belt, and this flip belt bottle. It's specially designed because the flip belt goes around your waist, and this has a curve to it that kind of matches the curve of your waist so it doesn't bounce around too much. This holds a little bit more than 10 ounces, and it's something that I'll bring with me if I am going to run for about an hour to an hour and a half. If that hour and an hour and a half is going to be low intensity. So there's going to be kind of like a time factor to it and an intensity level to it. So if it's an easy run and a recovery run, this is usually what I need for most of the days that I'm out there running. If it's going to be a longer run, something more in the 2-hour category, or if it's something that's going to have some harder intervals in there. So if it's an hour and a half with lots of hard work or 2 hours easy running, I'll usually bring this hydration bladder. Now this one was, and I'm going to go over a couple more products and stuff. I'll let you know which ones I purchased. With most of them I purchased with my own money. I'll let you know which ones were provided to me. This was provided to me by Camelback. It's a 2-liter water bladder. It goes into a hydration vest. Most days I will carry about a liter's worth of water or fluid in there, and that can usually keep me covered for a 2-hour run or a longer run, like an hour and a half or longer, with intensity built into that workout. And it usually is a little bit more than I need for that kind of run. But I usually like to also have a little bit extra in there if I'm going to do a workout, just because you never want to be a little bit short. I'd always rather be a little bit heavy when it comes to carrying fluid with me. Now I mentioned gels, and these are 2 gels that I purchased with my own money that are kind of my favorites right now for the summer. The main reason being is that they're a little bit more like voluminous. There's more liquid to them. The Science and Sport is probably one of the more liquidy gels that are out there, and this Chia Plus is also a little bit more liquidy. It's not as goopy. Goopy gels like the Goos or the Cliff shots are going to be a little bit harder to consume in the summertime when it's hot, just because it's like gets real like sticky, and you need to consume more fluid with it. These you can take with fluid. I usually don't take fluid with them. And so it's nice to have a little bit of extra liquid, but also still getting a lot of the nutrients that you're getting in these. And it's not just talking about sugar. One of the main things that I look for in a gel is salt content as well. So when you're out there and you're running and you're sweating, you get thirsty and you need water, but you're also losing a lot of electrolytes. You're sweating out a lot of stuff, and you want to put that stuff back in. Gels like this Chia Plus do a great job. Lots of salt, lots of sugar, help keeps you fueled. The Science and Sport, this one I like because it has lots of caffeine in it and it is quite liquidy. Not a lot of salt though, so something that you have to keep in mind. Now in terms of what I'm putting in the hydration packs, whether it's the flip belt bottle or the hydration pack, there's a couple of options that I've been really enjoying a lot this summer, and I find that I've been putting something in my water bottles every single time. Here's a couple that I've been enjoying. The Unived Elite Drink Mix, that one was provided to me, but the other ones I've purchased myself. The Scratch Labs one is good. It's really mild flavor, and if you have a smaller water bottle, this size packet is really convenient. If you're going to bring something that's a little bit bigger, like the hydration bladder, I like the Tailwind because it is designed to be kind of like a double size. There's a convenient like line in the middle that if you only want to make like a smaller water bottle, you just pinch it and then pour only like half at a time. But all 3 of those have a really good job of providing lots of sugar and lots of salt to replenish things that you're losing throughout the run. And they all have really mild flavors as well, which makes it really easy to like sip over a long period of time. Another one that I've been going to, because it's just a little bit cheaper than those other 3 options, is just like a big tub of Gatorade. Now normally this is like my least favorite like form factor in terms of this kind of product, because it's just messy, it spills, it gets all over the place, it's a giant canister, it's not easy to travel with, but I'm keeping this at kind of my home base here, my in-laws house in Iowa for the summer, and it's really cheap kind of per serving. So I don't have any hesitation in making sure that I have something other than just water in my hydration system every time I go out there on a run, which makes me feel just a little bit more comfortable when I go out there on the run. The other nice thing is that on a lot of bigger races, the Gatorade Endurance formula is usually what's on course. So it kind of serves as nice kind of like training in that sense too, so my body's used to having that as a fuel source as I'm going for longer runs. So in terms of how I eat all these things and kind of plan them out, is I roughly have like if I don't take it by this amount of period of time, I will make myself. And that is 45 minutes for a gel and 30 minutes for taking sips of water or the Gatorade that I'm bringing with me. That's kind of like my backstop rule. Like even if I don't feel like I'm thirsty, I'll make sure that I'm drinking, because I know that I am in summertime. And sometimes when it's really hot and humid, your body plays tricks on you. So having kind of some kind of backstop rules, that works out for me. Everyone's different. Yours might be shorter or longer, but that's what's been working for me. And in terms of how much fluid I'm taking in each time, I'm not sure how much I'm taking in when I'm taking in the water bladder. Because this flip belt water bottle has like the markers on the side, what I've noticed is the amount of fluid that I want to take every time I'm drinking from this thing is about 4 ounces of liquid, which I think is right around how much liquid you're getting in like a race cup. The cups are bigger than 4 ounces, but you are getting about 4 ounces of liquid in it. So it kind of makes sense and lines up to what feels like normal and comfortable. With the hydration bladder, I'm usually carrying a little bit more excess fluid than I might otherwise need. So I'm not shy when it comes to taking in a little bit more. But again, I'm not sure exactly, because I can't see it as I'm running. I'm not sure exactly how much fluid I'm taking each time, but I assume it's probably somewhere in the 4 to 5 ounces per kind of like half hour. The other thing that I will keep in mind though is that like, if it's only been 10 minutes and I'm feeling thirsty, I'll take a drink. Don't be shy about it. Those are your body's signals telling you like, hey, today might be a little bit different. Maybe I didn't get enough sleep. Maybe I didn't hydrate as well yesterday. Maybe I'm working harder today, so I need more. So don't be shy about what amount it can have and when. So those are some of the things that I've adjusted and tweaked from the beginning of the summer to now, when we're in like the thick of things and it's super hot. And I hope that that's helpful for some of you guys as well. If you have any more questions or other tips that have been really working out for you, because I know a lot of you guys are working in tropical climates and desert climates, places where it's much hotter, much more humid, much more just nasty out this time of year. So I'd love to hear some tips from you guys who are running at that heat extreme as well. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?